Boom. Commitment number 11 is in the books. Rod Babers says, put a stamp on it. Kohen Brown, wide receiver, Waxahachie, Texas, is a Longhorn. Third commitment of the weekend, second today. Kohen Brown, wide receiver out of Waxahachie, Rod. Let me read some stats to you. 54 catches, 1,084 yards. That's exactly almost 20 yards per catch. 11 touchdowns as a junior. Also ran a 10.69 100 meter. He's up in the Metroplex, 6 foot, 190 pounds. Texas wins this recruitment over Ole Miss, Notre Dame, and Utah. Let's roll the tape. Rod B, tell us what you see on Kohen Brown, the wide receiver out of Waxahachie.
Yeah, I like him. You can see right there, contact balance. He's got some of that when he gets the ball in his hands. He's a smooth athlete. What I mean by that, not a lot of wasted movement, very efficient. He can play all over. He can play outside, he can play inside. I love him in the slot, though. Seems to have a natural feel in the slot. I mean, he can be a slot god, sets guys up really well, especially when he gets a clean release. He's able to set up guys, and actually, I think works really well with the ball, in his hands, with the rack ability, run after the catch ability. And on top of that, I think he's got some pull-away ability. I think he's got long speed. I'm not sure how sudden he is in terms of his suddenness and that quick twitch. But once he gets rolling downhill, man, I mean, he's got a lot of speed. And I think that's what I like about his game as well in terms of the verticality that he could bring to an offense, especially with a guy coming out of the slot. Love the fact, go watch how often he's catching the ball out in front of him. Whether it be on a stop route or whether it be on a deep route, he's always catching the ball at his highest point. He's always reaching out to attack the football. That's important. A lot of guys wait for the football to come to them as young players. They don't attack the football. Seems to come natural to him. That is a really important ability when it comes to contested catch situations and it comes to battling for the football at the catch point. This is a guy that attacks the football. I like that about him as well. But there's a lot to like about his game. I mean, I tell you what, I think ultimately, a bigger frame. What is he, 6 foot, about 190, somewhere around there? That does fit what we've seen from Sark wide receivers, that a little bit of a bigger frame guys. But, man, he can move, though. There's no question about that. And you said 10.69, 100. I think he's probably a little faster than that. It does translate to football speed, I'll say that, when he gets the ball in his hands and that long speed ability. Watch him stack this guy. What I mean by stacking a DB, you get on top of them. Once you get on top of a DB, they call it stacking them. You want to get on top of them and leave your quarterback a lot of room to throw the football. He leaves your quarterback a big window when he's going deep on those vertical shots. So I love him. I think he naturally will be compatible as a slot receiver in that Sark offense.
I tell you what, Rod, interesting to me, to your point, that Texas getting another bigger guy. 190 pounds is not a small high school receiver.
No.
With 10.69 speed. I tell you what's interesting, too. Two other teams that have done pretty well with receivers in recent times, Notre Dame and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Both had him scheduled for official visits in the next 2 weeks. He wasn't looking at LSU or A&M or OU or any of those. He had some offers from them. But this is an interesting pickup because, look, Texas goes national for wide receiver. I mean, they proved that in this last one. But you know what they also did? They also stayed at home and went after Dalen McCutcheon.
Yeah.
Young man out of Lovejoy. And guess what? Dalen McCutcheon was just as strong as any of them out of Lovejoy this past offseason. He came in this spring. Sometimes it's not necessarily the highest rated one. And Brown, by the way, the industry composite on Brown is not very forgiving. You look at 24/7 Sports rankings, and it's not high up there. I think he'll get higher as the season goes on, and he replicates his performance this year to last year. But Longhorn coaches, Brandon Harris, the evaluation staff there, Chris Jackson, they don't really care. What they care about is what they see on the film, and some of the track times I think impressed them as well. To your point, Rod, what do you think about his overall playability? Do you feel like he's a guy that fits what they're doing? And you said slot probably. I mean, he's playing a lot of slot here.
Yeah, I feel like he has a natural feel in the slot. That slot gives you an easy release. Very rarely, hell, even in the NFL, definitely not that often in college. You're gonna press the slot guy, so you give him an easy release sometimes, and he can set up guys really well. I talked about how he stacks defensive backs when he gets on those vertical routes. I think Texas wants to have more of a vertical passing game. We talked about that even with the transition of Arch in there. I think they're going to have more of a vertical shots downfield, more of the vertical route tree. He's one of those guys that does fit that, not only with the bigger build, but with the long speed that we talk about with him and his ability to attack the football, go out and catch the football at his highest point, or to catch the football out in front of him. I like that about his ability as well. So I think he's the slot guy for Sark. But Sark does. He makes sure that all of his wide receivers learn every position. So he wants to be able to make sure that those guys can be used universally throughout the offense at any position. I just think naturally in the slot is where I would put him. I think he's kind of a slot guy. The slot fade with him would be a money route. But not only because of his ability to stack DBs, but because of that long speed. Once he gets going downhill, he's a really hard receiver to stop, either with the ball in his hands or with a receiver that's actually running one of those vertical routes downfield.
Well, here's the deal. Like, Texas now has several what I call offensive skill players committed. Diabell, obviously the quarterback out of American Heritage down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, started all this off, one of the two, along with Chris Stewart, the wide receiver out of Shadow Creek down in Pearland. Those two are already committed. Jermaine Bishop, we saw him commit about a week and a half ago, Rod, the little he's a smaller guy, but he scores a lot of touchdowns out of Willis, Texas. And now you add in Kohen Brown as another commitment for the Longhorns. And I tell you what, things are going a little faster maybe than previous years.
Things like that.
Season. Yeah, and you got to think it's getting a little easier, a little, or perhaps Texas scholarships are becoming more valuable quicker, if that makes sense. People want to jump on the boat a little sooner. You went through the recruiting process. You know what that kind of urgency feels like from a recruit's process. Is that what you sense kind of in this situation right now with Texas?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think you're right. I think now that Texas has established themselves with the pipeline to the NFL, double-digit players drafted back-to-back years, competing in the final, getting to the Final Four. I think they've established themselves with this group of recruits, right? We're talking about 26, 27, 28, those guys that are paying attention. And I think, honestly, there is really it's hard to think of a downside right now to Texas sales pitch, right? I've talked about this, right? How do you negatively recruit now against Texas? What do you say when a guy's like, yeah, Texas is one of my top schools? There's not a lot that you could bring to the table in terms of being able to in terms of being able to out recruit Texas. From a lot, when you're talking about NIL, when you're talking about the academics, when you're talking about now competitive football, winning championships, the NFL. And I think that's part of it, that the sales pitch, like you said, it's just a whole lot easier. But now I think Sark, they can have their pick of some of these guys. And I think now you're going to start to see, that recruiting class fill up a little bit earlier. Mac used to do this all the time. We were used to this with Mac. Haven't really gotten used to this with Sark. So maybe this could be something new. Maybe this could be something that right now is an emphasis or a priority for Sark and the staff, considering the changes right now in college football that are happening. We just got the House settlement in. So maybe it's a result of that. And then maybe we'll see things change after the House settlement settles in, and everybody, kind of gets used to the new, protocol and the new landscape of college sports. I'm not sure what it is, but it feels like now things are happening faster in this 26 recruiting class than we've had previously here with Sark. There's no doubt about that. That is the case.
You can see his size in some of these pictures, Rod. You can tell he's a little more broad-shouldered than your typical receiver, carries a little bit more weight. More of a classic physical build. Look at there. There you go. That's good stuff. Kohen Brown commits to the University of Texas. He is the second commitment today. Jake Collette, the kicker out of Georgia, pledged to the Longhorns just around 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. Kohen Brown happens around 4 o'clock. So we're literally 15 minutes or so from when that happened just a few minutes ago. Rod, the other thing I would say to Kohen Brown as we wrap this show up here today is when you're talking about a guy, you were a guy that tried to guard players like Kohen Brown.
Yeah.
What is it about him that you think will allow him to succeed on this level? What is it that Texas sees in him that would make a guy like you? I mean, he played in the NFL. Hard to guard Kohen Brown.
Well, he's hard to defend on the vertical shots for a lot of reasons. I pointed out that he's got separation speed, right? He's got long speed that can separate from DBs. I've been up against these guys. They got another gear once they actually get into the vertical routes downfield and the ball is thrown. Also, that the ball tracking ability. Tracks the ball extremely well, and that's why he's able to, attack the football at his highest point and also catch the football out in front of him. And I think that's also important too. You'll see a lot of passes where he's able to, catch the football over the opposite shoulder. That he's actually tracking it. This shows you that he's got that ability to. It's great. Just in terms of body control, being able to adjust to the football downfield. That's tough for DBs. Why you end up playing DB instead of wide receiver. I think that makes something that's tough for him. And the physicality, right? I mean, he's 6 foot, 190, probably going to put 10 pounds on this young man easy. Before he starts playing in Texas. That's a physical receiver at the catch point. Usually you can kind of, maybe big body a guy, maybe, be physical with a receiver, especially a guy like Xavier Worthy at the catch point, smaller receivers like that. Even a Matthew Golden at the catch point. These guys, Ryan Wingo's of the world, your Parker Livingstone's of the world at the catch point, it's hard to debo these guys, especially for a smaller defensive back. They take up so much space. You're talking about guys who have a large catch radius because of their frame. That's what you're looking at here. Just a bigger target overall for the quarterback. So, and on screen passes, right? Screen game. I was just talking about this on Sunday school this past week. Screen game is a huge part of Sark's offense. I mean, yeah, 18% of the passing game this past season was screens. And a lot of those are wide receiver screens. And he's looking at wide receivers, not only that can, be physical at the catch point, make sure they make the catch, but can break that first tackle, break that arm tackle, and get you that 5-6 yards, which is screen is kind of an extension of the running game, get you that extra yardage. And he's one of those guys that definitely is able to fill that role, that when he gets the ball in his hands, he has that rack ability, that run after catch ability.
I got to be honest. Antoine Kirk-Hughes is somebody this. When's the last time we had a guy from Waxahachie? It's Antoine Kirk-Hughes who happens to be a Rod Babers former teammate.
I play with Big. Yeah, I play with Big. We call him Big Wax back then. Big Wax, baby. Yeah, I love Big Wax. Man. Good player.
There may be a new Big Wax coming from Waxahachie, Texas. Kohen Brown commits to the University of Texas. Rod Babers, thanks for being here. Thanks all of you guys, and congratulations. One last minute here to Kohen Brown from Waxahachie, Texas, a wide receiver, the newest Texas Longhorn commit. Kohen, hook 'em horns, buddy.
Hook 'em, brother.